down the content cave in Geelong today, and of all the videos we've ever made, this is probably the only one I'm actually qualified to do, because as a fitter and turner tradesman, this is my trade, and for the last 8 months we've probably made, close to 2,000 videos, and none of them have been my trade, so I'm actually doing my trade today. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you how to tap a hole in steel. And what that means is, after you've drilled a hole, you use these, they're called taps, and you cut a thread, and then after you've cut the thread, your male thread will go into it. All right, so I've got 3 to do here. I'm going to do a 10 mil, I'm going to do a 8 mil, and I'm going to do a 6 mil. So I need 10 mil taps, 8 mil taps, and 6 mil taps. And because I'm so organised and proficient now, I've actually pre-drilled these, all right? And I'm not going to go into the detail, but pretty much a metric 10 thread, which is what we're using today. I drilled 8.5 mil, and then for the metric 8 thread, I used a 7 mil tapping drill, and for the 6 mil metric thread I'm going to cut, I had to use a tapping drill of 5 mil. And that just means that's the nominal diameter. So I drilled 5 mil, and I'm going to remove 1 mil into the M6, all right, to cut the thread. Now the tools we use, we've got these T-type wrenches. So again, these come in various sizes and shapes. The smaller ones for the smaller taps, and the larger ones for the bigger taps. And then you get your bar type. I prefer the bar type. I can balance it easier, and I can, when I've got to break the chip, they're just comfortable for me, so I prefer the bar type, all right? So cutting a 10 mil, an 8 mil, and 6 mil. Now Lisa, just coming really close, I just want to show people the difference in the taps. If you're wondering why there's 3 taps here, and I'm going to show you the difference. So if you look at the taps here at the tips, I'll try and keep them in here. All right, so this first one here, we've got no thread, then we've got half a thread, and then we've got a full thread. And then the next one, we've got a little half thread, and then we've got more thread. And then on the last tap, we've pretty much got thread all the way. So it's a 3-step process. You use the tapered one first. This is called a tapered tap because there's less thread to cut here. Then you go to the intermediate tap, and then this one, the bottoming tap, goes all the way into the blind hole. So you can pretty much cut a thread all the way into a hole. So you start with the tapered, then you go to the intermediate, and then you finish it with the bottoming. So it's a 3-stage process. So based on that, I'll do the 10 mil one first, and I'll start with my tapered tap, which has got the less threads on it. I'll get my bar wrench out. Put your bar wrench in there. I've already drilled the right size, tapping size drill. You put the tap into the hole, make sure you're 90 degrees both sides, and then you just start turning and cutting. And if you do the right size tapping drill, it goes in quite easy like this. Every so often, you've got to go back. Hey Lisa, this will be a good shot. Get down the groove there. And that's called a swarf chip. And you've got to go back and you break that chip. So you stay there, Lisa, and I'll just go back and break it off. And that chip's been broken. So you just got to break them chips as you go through. Now, I am cheating because this is aluminium. Because I just want to make a video, I didn't bother going to mild steel or stainless steel, which is harder again. But as you can see, I've pretty much just run that tap the whole way through, breaking the chips as I go. And that, because it's aluminium and it's the right size tapping drill, I've just cut a thread in there. Now what I'm going to do, just gently back this out. Then I'm going to use the bottoming tap because it's not a blind hole, and I just want to make sure I've cut the thread the whole way through. So I take out my tapered tap, I put that back in the kit, and I get the bottoming tap. Actually, I'll go the intermediate because I don't need to go the bottoming. So I'll just quickly change the tap. Then you pick up the original thread you've cut just by starting that. And I just want to run this one all the way through. And that is how you cut a thread through. So that's it. I've just made a metric 10 mil thread using taps.
Manually.
Manual, yeah.
I was expecting an actual drill.
This is old school.
Yeah.
I drilled the tapping drill, the 7mm hole. I drilled that on a pedestal drill, so I did need to pilot drill. But then after you've prepared it, and here's my 10mm bolt, and can you get in the hole? You can see the thread I've cut.
Yep.
Okay, so it used to be a hole, and now my 10mm. So this is very handy if you're working on cars, engine blocks.
So that
and
hole
bolts.
at the moment.
Yep.
Has
The
no
next one?
thread.
Yeah,
And
so-
that one has no thread.
Correct.
And this one, what
Has got the
those
thread.
windy things did was
The
give
taps.
you thread. Okay.
And so what's the next one I have to do? What's that say?
8mm.
8mm. So now I go to my 8mm tap,
Old school style.
which is an 8mm, and I've went for the tapered one at the start again, although I don't need to do that because it's soft aluminium. I'll go to the intermediate one, which is the second one, and again I've pre-drilled my hole. And for the 8mm thread, I drilled 7mm, put that in at the start, again keeping the tap parallel on the both 90 degrees planes. Gently spinning this at the start. I've got my little, see the swarf chipping up in there, Lisa? The little aluminium curling as I go nice and slow. That's removing the metal from the hole. Every so often you've got to go back and break the chips. Listen to this. Couldn't hear it, but I broke the chips. You've got to keep breaking up those chips, otherwise the thread pitches get jammed up with the swarf. So here's my 8mm. I can feel that cutting nice. That's nice and parallel. So again, I'll run the 8mm tap the whole way home, and then I'll just put the, oh no, that's the intermediate, isn't it? Because I didn't use it. Well, there you go. I just started the 8mm one with the intermediate tap, which is fine. And look at my tap. This is the, come in here, Lise, that's interesting. See the little bits of metal I've cut? That little bit of metal? Yeah, so that's all I had to remove because it only goes from 8mm outside diameter to 7mm. So it's only removing 1/2 mil each side.
And now you've got the grooves in there.
And now you've got the grooves in there. So now we've just cut a 8mm thread, all right? And we've done our 10mm thread.
That's good.
And this is how, if you ever have to thread a hole, this is the process, all right? And the last one, what I'll do, so I've got to go to my 6mm. I'm just going to use a, not that one, because that's the bottoming one. That's why I put it actually. So I'll get the tapered one, and I'll just show you how the T-type tap wrench works. Exactly the same. You've got the square drive. You've got the square drive in the chuck. You just put your tap into the, oh, it's not going to fit in that one. That's why you've got different sizes. You put your square drive into the chuck, into the internal one, and then tighten up the collar on it, like that. And this is my 6mm. That's the tapered tap. So again, just guide nice and gently. Make sure you're 90 degrees to your work job. I'm creating my little swarf chips in there. Go backwards to break the chip. I just broke the chip. Then I keep going. And this one's getting tight, and that's fine. Oh, you probably, if I was using mild steel, you'd use a cutting compound. You can spray it, you can pour it, you can get an oil and you can mix it with water.
What does that do to make it easier to
Probably
cut?
just keeps your tool, the cutting edge, sharp, and it lubricates the metal as you're cutting the thread, and it just makes the tool cut a bit better. I think it's mostly to do with lubrication, and just keeps the tool a bit sharper. All right. So I've just used the T-type tap wrench instead of the bar wrench, which I was using before. And again, I've seen these tap wrenches here, these bar wrenches. I've seen them, a metre long for 46, 48mm taps. So these are just little small baby cute ones. All right. So now I run all the way up to the die. So I make sure that the hole has been tapped the whole way through, which it has now. Then I take out my tap, and we have just cut, and again, I don't want it to fall out. I want to show you this. I want to show you just the swarf coming out of that. It's all dropping. I'm trying to be gentle, just.
I can see it.
Okay, yeah, so it's just a little tool but it removes quite a bit of metal because these were clean. No, I'm going way too, there we go. So, all right,
Yep.
so that's almost, and then 6mm goes into your 6mm hole. So at the start of this clip, we had a bit of aluminium, we had 3 tapping drill sized holes, then we just got the appropriate tap. We started at the tapered, we went to the intermediate, then we went to the bottoming, and that is how you drill and tap and you make a metal thread into metal. Subscribe, and if this is liked, I'll show you how to make the female thread. So I'll turn down a bit of metal and then I'll use what's called a die, and I'll put the die onto the metal and I'll make a male thread. So I'll be able to take out, say, this 10mm one, which was bought from a shop, and I can actually make this male thread as well, and I'll screw the male thread into the female thread, and I've showed you how to make a female 10mm and a male 10mm. Questions? Done?
No.